Hello everybody. This is going to be the second movie review that I do in my new little format that I'm trying out. We'll see if it sticks, we'll see if it doesn't. I don't know yet. I have yet to even edit either one of these. But this is going to be my review for the new Uncharted movie that just came out. It stars Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Sophia Ali, and is directed by Ruben Fleischer. I think that's how you say his name. Basically, it's a movie based off the video game series made by PlayStation Naughty Dog. It's basically about Nathan Drake who goes on a it's essentially just National Treasure with Nathan Drake, Nolan North's character. Which I am very happy to say, even though I've never really played the Uncharted games, I do always appreciate Nolan North, and I'm happy to say that he actually did make an appearance in this movie. So, you can look forward to that. Basically, first thing I want to say, all of these, notes that I wrote are all in chronological order. So, I'm just going to talk about them as I go down the list, essentially. First thing I want to say is I do not understand why Nathan's brother was completely unattended. I don't get it. I do not get it. What the fuck? That bothered the crap out of me. There are some people in the film that definitely should have been watching them, and they just weren't. I don't know why. I don't get it. I really don't. Something else that bothered me in the beginning, sort of, was, Nathan brings along these postcards, and I have no clue why. I really don't. I don't know if I missed the line that says, why he brought them along, but he is mighty lucky that he did. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't get why he did it, but really good thing that he did. Anyway, let's see, how do I want to start this? The biggest problem with this movie, and again, I'm not trying to harp on these movies either. This is just kind of the way I talk. I focus a lot more on the negatives when it's just kind of alright movies. Basically, my biggest problem with this film is the villains. These are some, truly uninspired, piss-poor villains, and I do not get why. The main villain, sort of, I'm pretty sure I know this guy. I've not, looked him up yet or anything. I don't really care to either. But, I swear to God, he plays the exact same character in, every movie that he's in. And it's always poor. His dialogue is bad. His acting isn't great. It's serviceable at best. And it just feels, wholly uninspired. They could have done so much more with the villains of this film. It's literally just the cliche, oh, my family is owned this fortune, so I must get it by any means necessary, and I will do whatever it takes, because it's going to be my inheritance, or whatever the fuck. But, he's not even the only one. There's other villains in this movie that are equally just as bad. His henchmen, or henchwomen, they're all terrible. There's not a single good one in this film. And there are a bunch of them, too. Because I swear to God, every character at some point will backstab another one. It doesn't matter who they are, they will backstab them. And it's really not even a spoiler, because it warns you at the very beginning. It's yeah, we're essentially all pirates here. So, you gotta watch yourself, you can't trust anybody. That's not to say there aren't any good people in the film. There's plenty of heroes, plenty of people to root for. But, none of these people are technically good, is what I'm saying. There's no, Jesus-like figure in this film. But anyway, moving on from the villains and lack thereof, really. Um, there is another part in this movie where, for some reason, they get to a bar, and Nathan feels it necessary to essentially just light a fire. And he says, "Oh, I need to cause a distraction and shit." I don't get why he did that. I really don't. What was the point? Because it literally doesn't work. Not even a little bit. And literally, literally all he does is like step away like 2 feet from where he started the fire. If anything, he's just drawing other people's attention. Mind blown. I don't know. Something else that happens is at one point they get into a area where everything breaks. Everything breaks. And there's no reason as to why. There is no reason as to why. But they sure are lucky that it did. They really are. Because they wouldn't have been able to go forward if they didn't fucking do that. Then they get to essentially the hall down. And they get trapped there. And I do not understand this. This is actually like the most mind-blowing thing. Because the movie like actually takes a major halt here. Because they keep talking about how there is no other exit and everything. How they're going to essentially die if they don't get out. And somehow, one of the characters gets out anyway. And it's like, was there more than one exit? Did the other guy just let them go? What the fuck happened? How did they get past? And from that point in the film, the rest of the film actually takes a huge, like, quality dip. Like, it is, like, super noticeable, because from that point, before, it was, like, pretty darn good. I was actually, like, super invested. I was like, this actually looks and feels like a pretty darn good video game movie. And then it just takes a huge dip in quality. And it was, like, super unfortunate. And this is where most of the, like, villain dialogue and acting comes. Like, where all the tropes just hit you all at the same time. And it's like, oh my god. Whew. Also, there's one moment where Tom Holland, his Nathan Drake character, is, like, going off on somebody. And this other person says something. And then his mood just changes like that. Considering how consistent his character was before them, that, like, really took me out of the movie. I was like, wait a minute, this man actually has, like, bipolar disorder or some shit. That mood change just gave me whiplash. It really fucking did. Also, how did one of the henchmen get into the helicopter? He was in the fucking pirate ship and somehow got into the helicopter. And I have no clue how. I have no clue. I don't think I had a stroke or anything. So he must have, like, teleported or something. Also, another, just a tad bit of a plot hole. In a island that had already been, I guess, technically inhabited, how did nobody find that huge gaping fucking hole? I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyone could have stumbled across that, looked down, and just have seen this big fuck off thing right there. And they would have... The whole story would have been over at that point. It absolutely would have. I don't get it. And one of the lady villain person essentially says, do not put any holes in the ships. Okay? And literally, the first thing that the henchmen start doing is, like, beating people with, like, the boards, throwing people through doors and shit. That, like, it made for an entertaining scene, like a little fight scene. But, like, they must have, like, really wanted to get, like, fucking killed or some shit. Like, these henchmen are stupid as crap. I don't know why you would take all this time to be, like, super careful with what you're dealing with. And then as soon as the Nathan and Sully characters get on to this area, you're just going to start throwing them everywhere. It's like, do you not care anymore? Like, again, it makes for an entertaining scene, but it makes no sense. And it really bothered me seeing it. Not only that, but the guys that were flying the helicopters are absolutely the worst pilots I've ever seen. Like, truly horrendous. Like, this dude just... There's a moment where this dude, like, literally just wakes up, essentially. And he's like, ooh! Gotta steer around real quick. Is this your first day fucking flying? Holy crap, dude. Like, you are actually going... Like, these ruthless villains are literally going to just straight up shoot you as soon as you get onto the ground. So congratulations to that one. You're a big fucking moron. But anyway, now that my little rant is done, this movie is decent. Again, it's just decent. It's also going to go into my good category. The acting, the performances from everybody were pretty good for the most part. There was nothing that I felt like really stood out, really. It was kind of distracting seeing Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. Essentially because Tom Holland just looks so young, but they treat him like he's so old. As if he's like in his mid-20s, which I guess is technically true, but he doesn't look like it. Except for his arms. His arms look like he's almost 30 for some reason. I didn't get that. I don't know if they're like CGIing her or what, but it was, I don't know, maybe I'm making too big of a deal about it. Maybe I'm just being weird. I don't know. It seemed like they were like aging his arms or something. It didn't look right. But for the most part, everybody did a decent job. The story was just alright. It was nothing special. It wasn't, like, particularly original. The villains were by far the worst part. Not, like, it wasn't even close. I hated every villain character in this film. They were all, like, boring as shit. Definitely needed work in the writing department for the villains. Like, holy crap. Let's see. The cinematography was decent. There was nothing that really stood out. The action scenes were fun. But ultimately, like, this is my, like, biggest takeaway for the film. Is, if you're gonna watch this, the best thing I can say about it is it definitely makes you want to play the games. And that's pretty much it. I don't anticipate actually, like, watching this movie again. Which is really funny, because it got me thinking, because this movie, along with a bunch of other movies this, like, past year, have had a bunch of, like, end credit scenes, and, like, it got me thinking for a second, like, it's really cool that, like, these studios think that their movies are decent enough to deserve, like, sequels and whatnot, like, they're just going for it. But at the same time, it's like, really? Really? Like, did you watch the same movie that I did? Are you sure that these films are going to get sequels? Like, Moonfall? Moonfall, I felt like, was probably the most deserving out of the most recent films that I've seen, deserving of a sequel. But, like, the 355 in this movie? I don't know. I feel like with Sony, they could afford to make a sequel regardless of how well a film does. But it's so weird, because, like, nowadays it just feels like it's something we should just get used to. Like, every film just is going to set up a sequel at the end of the first film, regardless of, like, how well it potentially does. I don't know. It was weird seeing, and it wasn't even, like, after the credits. It was, like, right after the title card. Which I do appreciate. I didn't want to sit through the credits. But it was weird seeing that shit. But I mean, like, by all means, if the movie does well, hopefully we do get a sequel. And hopefully the writing for the villains is a lot better. I can only hope, really. And that's about it for me. I'll see you later.